Any shop can misdiagnose a problem. All that means is more trips back to the shop for you. Today, we take a look at some of the most misdiagnosed problems and help you fix them for good.
Hey, welcome to TruckU. Today we have got in the shop an F-250 2004 Super Duty, and it's got one of those notorious 6.0 liter engines underneath the hood. And those of you who ever own one of these vehicles, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's some issues with these, and this unit itself has got some of those issues.
One of which we've talked about in the past, and we've said this before, if you've got a 6.0, you're going to have problems with the EGR, or you've already had problems with the EGR. So this truck is no exception. It went in for an overheating problem, and they treated the EGR cooler. So they got that fixed, but downstream, we think, over time, it led to some other issues. You know, maybe they missed a little hairline fracture here, which is an easy thing to miss at the time.
Yeah, you know, they fixed one problem, but they kind of missed the boat, we think, on another, because it's like a cause and effect. You know, the effect right now is this thing limped in, and it had a bunch of spatter here from cooling up on the hood, which means you've got an issue, and what that issue is the weak link. And the weak link right here is this top tank on the radiator. It usually starts with a little bit of hairline crack, and when it gets missed over time, well, it gets to a point where it can't be repaired, and that's what we've got right now. This thing limped in, spraying coolant everywhere. If it was caught earlier when they fixed the EGR cooler, probably could have been repaired or fixed. At this point, though, it's got to come out so we can replace it totally. That's just one of the issues we have to deal with on this 6.0. Oh, look, that's a big son of a gun.
Who ordered the fry?
You keep that.
In a little bit, this truck's going to get a brand new alternator. But before we do that, let's talk belts, because we don't want to put a new alternator in with the old belt. If we do that, it's not going to make proper contact on the pulleys. Alternator's not going to work to its full potential. We don't want to have any issues with that. Right. So we're going to skip all that and use brand new belts from Dayco.
One of the nice features about the Dayco belt is the W rib on the inside here. Now, if you look at it, you can see it's almost like a little rib inside of the ribs. And what that does, it allows for misalignment in older vehicles. Ones that have over 100,000 miles, stuff starts to move around a little bit, and this way you're going to get the right contact and the right tension on all the belts, and it'll allow it to run for another 100,000 miles. Sure. Now, another thing about these new belts from Dayco is the fact they're made from EPDM, and all the new belts today are, and the advantage to that is the fact that these belts last a long time, they run truer. The downside is it's harder to tell when the belt's starting to wear out. With an older style belt, you flip it over like this, and you can see splits in all the ribbing. Well, the EPDM doesn't do that. So what you have to do is get yourself a little tool, and it'll tell you when it's time to replace the belt. So you stick this down inside the ribs like this. This is a worn out belt because the tool sinks down inside of it, meaning that it's losing some of its clearance. Now on a new one, it'll sit just on top of it like that, and you know that it's a new belt and you are good to go.
Couple more cool things about these new Dayco belts. One, they're made with an increased content of aramid, which is the noise reduction. So right. The belts are going to run nice and quiet. They're all made right here in the USA, and check it out. They've got this cool app too. You can go on there, enter your VIN number, just punch it right in there, and it gives you the product number for all the belts you need on your entire vehicle.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, keep in mind though, new components, new belts. The major reason we thought we had an issue with the alternator was the fact that he was complaining about dim headlights. Now, before we jump in and just yank the alternator out, we want to make good and sure that that's the problem, because that's another one that can be easily misdiagnosed. It could be a couple of other things. We want to make sure, one, that it's not the batteries. So we're going to check the voltage on the batteries here real quick. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you always do it on clean terminals. There we go, 12.69, that's good. But take a look at this. You look at the corrosion on this terminal right here. That's on the charging side coming from the alternator. That could be a big problem, and that could lead to premature wear on the battery and other issues too, because if you take a look at that, we can actually get different readings all around the place, and you'll notice different voltage drops. So you want to make sure this is good and clean. So when we get done with this today, everything is going to look like new. The next thing we want to check is continuity on the fusible link between the battery and the alternator itself. We get the beep. That means we have continuity. That's good. We know the batteries are good. We have an issue with the corrosion, but we're going to get all that cleaned up as well. So we need to go to break right now and get this alternator out of here. And then we got a new one going in from AC Delco. Break these on.
Matt got that old alternator out of the way. Now it's time to put a new one in from AC Delco. And when you talk about the aftermarket world, it's all about remanufactured, and that's what we're putting in here today. Now the thing is, when you put a remanufactured part in, you want to make sure you get it from somebody you know and you trust, because there's a lot of companies out there that'll take old parts and reuse them as long as they test okay. The thing is, you don't know how long those old parts have been on a vehicle. It'd be 50,000 miles. You don't know how long they're going to last. Well, with an AC Delco alternator, you're going to get 100% brand new brushes and bearings, and in a top SKU like this, they're going to give you 100% new regulators as well. Now, the other thing they're going to do is, before they send it out to you, they're going to test it. And they're not just going to test it for continuity. They're going to put it on a bench, they're going to plug it into the computer and spin it up like you run in your vehicle and make sure that it works properly. And then they're going to go ahead and back it up with a 2-year warranty.
You got room for me in there?
Come on in, son.
Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people will associate AC Delco with GM only. But as you can see, today we're working on a Ford, and that goes to prove they've got a full line of professional products available for the vast majority of the manufacturers, so keep that in mind. Another thing that we want to change out today, while we have all this room right down here, I got it loose, let me just get it out of here, is the tensioner for the belt. So this tensioner is as old as the alternator was, it's as old as the belt was, and we're changing out all that. So why would we not change this as well? After all, there's bearings in this, there's a spring inside of this, and this could suffer from spring atrophy. And in a worst case scenario, you replace all these parts, you put everything else back in, you get on the road, and 5,000 miles later, your tensioner goes bad and you're back at square one, right? We don't want that. So we're gonna go ahead and swap this out with a brand new tensioner from AC Delco as well. That goes right about there. With the alternator and the tensioner in place, now I can get ready to throw on this new belt from Delco. Now this is good because if you can't find the belt diagram anywhere on the vehicle, which I can't, they conveniently put one on the packaging, so that's a nice touch.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, I took a look at this top radiator hose because when you have situations where you got overheating, you want to make sure you have no weak links left, and the hose is usually something to take a look at. Now, from the outside, first thing you'll notice, if it's a bad hose, it's really bad, is you'll see that the rubber's deteriorated. You've got bulges. We don't have that here, but if you open it up on the inside like I did, you'll see where you've got separations in the rubber here and all this discoloring. That's a sign that the hose is starting to go away. Now if you look here as well on the inside of this wall of the rubber, it's starting to deteriorate as well. You got the cords coming through, so you could have coolant leaking through the inside of the rubber really. So but what this is telling you is these are ready to go. Get rid of these rubber hoses. You're going through all this time and energy. Go ahead, put new ones on. This way you won't have any weak links in your entire cooling system itself.
So earlier today, we saw the results of an overheating issue combined with a hairline crack in the top of the radiator, and those results are all painted nicely right up there on the inside of the hood. So, new radiator going in, and we should be able to avoid that problem now. All right.
So the last piece of the puzzle for our cooling system is to go ahead and check the pressure cap. Now the pressure cap will actually increase the boiling point of the water and keep the vehicle from overheating. You're talking about water, it's as much as 48 degrees, which makes a big difference. Then you put in coolant in the factor, well, it's important to make sure that this thing works. So first you want to do is look on the back side and make sure that the seals are okay, and they look okay for right now. Now what we want to do though is actually go the extra mile and pressure check it, because that is where you're going to find out if this thing is good or not.
All right.
So pump it up.
Nothing.
And that's not good. That alone could cause this vehicle to overheat. To give you an example to show you guys what it should do is just when I put my hand over it, we should be able to make pressure.
Yep.
And there we go. So that's telling us right now that this pressure cap is no good and we need a new one. Just simply having a bad pressure cap like this could not only cause you to have a leak, but it'll also cause you to overheat as well. So this is an important piece of the puzzle.
Let's go inside the Duplicolor garage. Duplicolor, yes you can, in your garage.
We have used the Duplicolor bed armor many times in the past. It's a great way to put a bed liner in your truck and do the job yourself. Now it all started a while back with the kit, which has everything that you see here. But today we're going to take it up to the next level and do it with this truck bed coating spray gun. It's actually going to allow me to get this job done a lot quicker. So when this truck started, when it came to us, it had the drop-in bed liner in there. We got rid of that and we scuffed up the entire bed. One of the first things you notice when you open up the bed armor is no scent. and it's water-based. So that's good because if we get a little bit where we don't want it, it's a simple soap and water cleanup. Now we can hook up the gun. So the gun is here, hooks up to the airline, nice and easy. We stick the hose in the bucket and we're ready to spray. When we get started, the first area we're going to concentrate on are the corners and the hard-to-reach areas. Once they're taken care of, we can lay the first coat on the sides all the way around the truck. We'll let that dry and tack up for about an hour, then we'll come in with the second coat. Now keep in mind, the Duplicolor bed armor is the only do-it-yourself bed liner that's made with Kevlar, so you know it's strong. Now between you and I, with this new spray gun right here, I mean, we're cutting the job time into a fraction of what it used to be. This is the only way to do it. And it's all due to the spray gun application. So when you're out there and you pick up the kit, make sure you pick up the gun as well. You will be glad you did. Now let's talk about touch-up, okay? In the future, if you have a little touch-up area, there's no need to hook up the gun again. That's where the aerosol can comes in. Just psh, psh, and it's done in seconds. Now you think about the vehicle, the garage, maybe your house or your boat, anywhere you need a durable non-skid application, that's a great spot for the Duplicolor bed armor. And it's just another way the guys at Duplicolor are helping you restore, restyle, and protect your vehicle and your garage. For any information about bed armor, be sure to check out Duplicolor's website. Oh, there we go. All right, welcome back to TruckU. So I'm talking to the guy that owns the truck, and he's telling me, hey, at about 55 miles an hour, I'm noticing a little bit of a surge. And I said, you service the transmission, right? And he said, yeah, I've done everything that I needed to do. I said, what about the remote transmission filter up in the front? And he kind of looked at me like, what? I said, you know, the one that's easier to get to, that's designed so you don't have to go into the transmission and all that? Don't worry, I'll handle it, I told him. Now, the point is, this truck's going on about 200,000 miles, and this has never been changed. So we'll get this out of here. This should look real nice. Lovely. All right, so I've got a new filter for this, but before I put that in there and hook this back up, I'm gonna take it over to Bruno and get it cleaned up a little bit. All right, here you go, man.
Thanks, man. So what we're using here today is something that I think is a do-it-yourselfer's dream. It's the Benchtop Pro, and what's great about this thing is not only is it convenient in size, but it can clean and degrease just about anything you want. Where the magic really happens is the solution it uses, the degreasing solution, because it's safe for the environment, it's safe for the end user because you can get this stuff on your hands, it's not going to leave a rash, it's not going to irritate your skin, it's got a non-toxic, non-flammable solution that, well, you can breathe in and you can store away and you don't have to worry about it. Now when you talk about the unit itself, small in size, which is great for do-it-yourselfers, it's durable, it's strong, and the great part about it is when you're done, you can fold the thing up and store it away with the chemical inside. Makes it really, really handy to have around.
Now the Benchtop Pro is the only parts washer out there that uses a microbe-based solution. Now here's how it all goes down. Bruno's going to knock off little pieces of oil and grease off of that, right? And that'll go into the solution, and the microbes will surround the oil and grease, and it will eat it. It is the coolest thing. And you don't even have to replace the fluid at all. You just add more microbes whenever you need to. It's nice, dude. It's like it regenerates itself.
Yeah, so we'll put this up here to dry off, man. This is a pretty cool deal. You got to show me that filter, will you?
Yeah. Earlier, we noticed a lot of corrosion on the battery terminals, and we didn't want that to cause another misdiagnosis. So what we did was we got those cleaned up. We hit them with some hot water and baking soda and let it do its thing. Those are cleaned and they're ready to go. Next up, we checked the batteries, and they checked out fine as well. The voltage was good. So what we wanted to do was turn the engine over and see if they held the power. And what we noticed was that the voltage dropped on the battery to below 10.9 when we turned it over. That number is critical because when it gets below that number, that means that the starter is pulling way too much power from the whole system. So we know the problem's in the starter. So what we're going to do is get the old one out of the way and replace it with this new one from AC Delco. Now, it's a professional remanufactured starter. The good thing about the AC Delco one is the fact that they go the extra mile as far as replacing the bushings and the bearings and the brushes. You get the new solenoid on this one. You know, they go a lot further than some companies will. Some guys will just check it. It's like, okay, it checks out and it's good to go. Boom, and they send it to you. These guys will check everything out internally, and it's end-of-the-line tested, so you know they're checking it out before it goes in the box and it gets sent to you. So that's going up next, and that's just another piece to the puzzle because when the new starter gets in, this truck's going to be running a whole lot better. Welcome back to TruckU. Now here is something that we use in the shop all the time. I'm talking about these gloves. It's the Raven Black Nitro gloves from SAS Safety Corp. These things are awesome.
Yeah, they're 6 mil powder-free, extra-strength, professional-grade nitrile gloves, man. You'll see that as soon as you put them on, these things are tough. They're not going to tear on you. They're abrasion-resistant. They're stretch-resistant, and you know what? They've got a textured grip to them, so you can get better gripping when your hands get greasy and grimy, which is going to happen when you're wearing these things.
Sure, you're all nasty and the phone rings. You don't want to get that all over the phone. You get back in the vehicle and you've got to start it up. You don't want to get that in it, especially if it's somebody else's vehicle. Or worse yet, your wife calls, it's your anniversary, and you forgot you've got a romantic dinner in 10 minutes, right? Boom, the gloves come off, bring on the pizza and wings. Your marriage is saved. That's what it's all about. It's the Raven Black Nitro gloves from SAS Safety Corp. We have worked with the guys at Custom Auto Sound many times in the past, and this is what they call the system. The idea of the system is to solve that age-old problem of where do I put the speakers in this street rod or this custom-built vehicle or this classic car?
Because you all know you want the sound quality you can get out of a modern vehicle, but you don't want to lose the integrity of that, that toy you've been working on. You've got all these hours and sweat and tears in it. You don't want to cut it up to put some big speakers in it. Well, that's where this comes into play because, first of all, you get 2 satellite speakers like this. They look like they're AC vents, so these are great because they can be disguised any way you want. They can be hidden anywhere you want. Then you got the low-profile subwoofer, which can fit small enough and low enough. You can fit it under the seat. You can throw it in the trunk. Anywhere you want. You can disguise it any way you want, and you're still going to get that great sound. You're not going to lose the integrity of that custom vehicle.
It's a nice way to go. It's the system from Custom Auto Sound. If you have some custom fabrication, more specifically pipe and tube bending on the horizon, you definitely want to look into getting one of these. It's the manual pipe and tube bending machine from Woodward Fab.
The whole idea is you can do it yourself and get professional results. Now, you've got this compound lever right here, and believe it or not, it allows you to make effortless bends up to 2 inches in diameter. The advantage of being able to do it yourself is you don't have to chase around town looking to find somebody to get those bends for you or get the bend that you need because let's face it, a lot of this stuff you're doing after hours when everything's closed down or on weekends. So you get to a point in a fabrication, you go, well, I need a 90-degree bend or I need a 60-degree bend. You can do it yourself and you keep moving on with that project, man. It's something that'll pay for itself over the long haul.
It's the pipe and tube bending manual machine from Woodward Fab. Now check these out. These are the Radial Trail RH trailer tires from Carlisle Tire. Now when it comes to trailer tires, there's 2 very popular misconceptions. One is the guy that says, I'm only going to use this trailer 4 or 5 times a year. These tires are going to last forever. That's not the case. The other is the guy that uses the truck tires and the trailer tires interchangeably, and that's not the best thing to do either.
Yeah, the tires are completely different. Trailer tire, for example, the sidewall you look at, much stiffer in a trailer. It keeps the trailer from swaying or leaning going down the road. Tread compound or the tread design, you can go with a lot less tread, which means you can put more plies and make for a stronger tire. And this Carlisle tire incorporates what they call DuraTrail technology, and what they're referring to is the overall design of the tire. It's going to give you lower rolling resistance, more strength, and help you beat the heat.
There's a lot of science going on in that tire. And the most important thing, we talk about it till we're blue in the face, is proper inflation pressure. Now, when you're pumping up this Radial Trail RH, take it up to the maximum pressure listed on the sidewall and do that when it's cool.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show, check out speed.com or visit our website at truckutv.com. Improve fuel economy and power on any truck project with a dual electric cooling fan assembly from LMC Truck. The electric fan provides increased cooling in the engine while at idle. That's when any truck needs it most. Because your engine stays cooler, this will help your engine horsepower and you'll get better gas mileage. The dual 12-inch fan has a quiet S-blade design and includes a wiring harness, relays, and adjustable fan temperature switch. Mounting brackets are sold separately. The motor is dust and waterproof to stand up to any of the elements and fits most 27-inch wide radiators. The fiberglass reinforced nylon shroud has the highest heat resistance in the industry. Adding a dual electric fan from LMC Truck can also help your AC system to run cooler due to the increased airflow across the AC condenser. LMC Truck has a wide variety of dual electric fans for Chevy, Ford, and Dodge. This tip is brought to you by LMC Truck. Restore, maintain, and customize your truck with parts and accessories from LMC Truck.
There you go.
All right, thanks, bud.
Welcome back to TruckU. So today we have been dealing with the issues of misdiagnosis and the problems that you can have and how you can fix the wrong thing sometimes in your vehicles. And we're trying to avoid that today, right? It's exactly what we're doing. So take a look at it. We've got the new radiator, alternator, some coolant lines, a lot of things going on. And today we're working on that 6.0, which a lot of you guys out there are driving these things, so you know some of the issues that you're going to have with it.
Yeah, well, we're topping off this cooling system. I want to show you guys one thing you want to keep in mind is you need to have basically a vent, so to speak, because you're pouring in coolant at a high point. You want to push out the air inside the system. So we took off this line. What we'll do is allow that air to escape while we put in the coolant. Once it starts coming out of this opening here, our little vent, we'll plug it back up when we know we're good to go. But that's one thing you want to do, because otherwise you're going to have hot pockets in your cooling system. That's something you don't want to have.
And those are good to eat, but you don't want them in your vehicle. You're right.
No, exactly.
Now, another big issue with the 6.0s are issues with the injectors, and that can be a really expensive and a really timely job. So what we want to try to do is avoid any problems with those, and that's where this comes in. It's the hot shot secret. We've worked with this many, many times in the past, and it's an easy way to fix a lot of the common injector problems.
You know, 9 out of 10 times when a diagnostic comes back and saying you've got an injector error, it's not that the injector has failed or is broken. It's the fact that really is you've got stiction built up inside that injector, which is causing it to not fire properly and fire in time. We're talking milliseconds to keep those injectors firing properly and keep the whole balance of the engine in time. So by pouring into Hot Shot Secret, what we're doing is we're freeing up that stiction, allowing those injectors to fire again. So not only are they good for your injectors to get those fixed, and it's a much cheaper solution than not only paying the labor to get those injectors, but paying for those new injectors, but it'll treat your turbo as well, remove the stiction there, the seals throughout your system, as well as your oil pump too.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. If you get diagnosed with bad injectors, some places will just say, oh, got bad injectors, got to swap out new ones. Well, if you're sitting on endless piles of cash, it's no big deal, right?
Yep.
But if you're like the rest of us and you'd like to get the job done at a fraction of the cost, why would you not use the Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator? And the cool thing is, too, Hot Shot Secret has a money-back guarantee, so if it doesn't work, you get your money back, so you have absolutely nothing to lose.
Yep, I like that.
Radiator, check. Alternator, check. Hoses, belts, everything is good. All right, so today we've gotten a lot of work done on this truck and dealt with a lot of issues that many of you are all too familiar with, especially if you're rolling in one of these 6.0s.
Yeah, like those injectors, and with the cooling system alone, you know, we got that radiator cap, that pressure cap, which a lot of people miss.
Right.
In this case, it was faulty, it could cause this thing to overheat. Also, the belt tensioner. A lot of people don't look at an older vehicle when it's got a lot of miles, you change those belts, you need to check this thing out. Listen to the bearing here. You got nothing. Listen to this one.
It's loud.
Yeah, that means it's about to go away. So all that work we would have done, we have to take it all back apart to put a new one on. So we saved ourselves a lot of time looking down the road.
Got a bunch of new AC Delco parts in this truck, and it's going to be back on and healthy once again. That's going to wrap it up for us this week. We'll see you next time right here on TruckU.
All right.
That is loud.
Let's get this thing out of here.
It's like a grinding sensation.